Hi guys, today we'll be talking about Kevlar 2, what is it and how to use it. So Kevlar 2 is a language-agnostic testing framework that is powered by Shell, and it was built to automate regression testing. What Kevlar 2 does essentially is that we use file redirects to perform black box testing. So, and the cool thing is that no matter what language your code is written in, doesn't matter, we'll test it for you. So let's just jump right into it. The first thing you want to do is to clone the repo. For the purposes of this demonstration, I've created an empty folder called demo over here. So let's place our repo here. And here we go. This is the repo. As you can see, we have two folders called projects and settings. We'll go in projects. This is where all of the classes and functions that you want to test, it will all be inside here. So let's go ahead and create one project. Let's assume that this time I'm trying to test a C++ function called divide that takes in two integers a and b and then returns a divided by b. I know it's just a trivial function just to illustrate how Kevlar 2 works. So because we'll be testing this divide function, let's just call the project divide, like so. So out of the box, Kevlar 2 supports C++, Java, and Python 3, but you can easily add any number of languages with just 4 lines of code. It's very simple, and I plan to release a video showing how you can do this sometime in the future. But for now, let's just enter 0, because we are assuming that my function divide is in C++. So okay, it says it created a directory for us here. And then it placed a test harness for us inside the directory. Press enter to continue. So let's take a look at our project. When you create a new project, you will get a build script and a test harness. The test harness is where you copy and paste your code, the code that you want to test, you copy and paste it into test harness. And then all of the test suites that will drive your code, right, is placed inside here, test suites. At the moment, you can see that we have nothing inside test suites because we haven't defined any test cases yet. So let's go ahead and just add some test suites by running this script. All I did is just double click it. This script will create 5 empty test suites for you. By default, it's 5, but you can so no, 5 is just a nice number. So what is a test suite? A test suite is simply a folder with 3 files: input.txt, output.txt, and result.txt. As I mentioned, Kevlar works by using file redirects to perform black box testing. So all these test suites, right, will have an input-output file. The input file will be redirected into your test harness, and the output file should contain the result that you are expecting. The results generated by test harness will be stored inside this file, result.txt, and then we'll have to see whether it passed or failed, right, by doing a diff command, ignoring trailing white spaces and blank lines. We want to see whether result.txt is the same as what you define in output.txt. The result that was generated, is it the same as the output that you were expecting? So at the moment, right, we haven't copy and paste our class inside test harness yet, but let's just run the build script to see what happens. So you can see that the 5 test suites that we've created are reflected here, and it says no input. As the result, they were ignored over here. So we've got a total of 5 test suites, and all 5 were ignored, so 100% were ignored. And it says no input because the input file is empty. So you can see it's empty. So now let's copy and paste our code into testharness.cpp. Actually, I'll just type it out since the divide function is quite short. So this is where you will copy and paste your code if you have a code that is very long. But I'm just going to type it out. So this is just some C++ imports that will make my life easier. Okay, so once you copy and paste your code here is where we will do the test logic. And if you read the comments, right, it says that this test harness file, it treats your input.txt file as the standard input. And it will write to a result.txt file and treat it as the standard output. So to use Kevlar 2 effectively, you need to be able to think of how you want to test your code. So you need to do some designing when it comes to how you want your test kernel to interact with your input file. At the moment, let's just say that our first test case is some easy test cases, and the input file is just the format is something like that. I want to be able to test n number of pairs of arguments A and B. So you've got A1, B1, A2, B2. So this is the format. Let's say this is the format that I want to have. And so let's say I want to have I'll test three pairs of numbers. I want to try dividing 10 by 2. I want to try dividing 90 by 2. And I also want to try dividing 95 by 5. Let's just say I want to test these 3 pairs of numbers. And of course, the output that I'm expecting is going to be 10 divided by 2. I'm going to be expecting a 5. And then 90 divided by 2, I'm going to be expecting a 45. And 95 divided by 5, I'm going to be expecting 19. So the output format is 3 numbers separated, each on a new line. So that's going to be important later. And this is the input format. So we need to start to type that into our test suite. Okay. So the first number n is just the number of pairs that will follow. And then for each pair that will come, you will have access to 2 numbers A and B. We want to divide A by B. So let's go ahead and read A and B. And then now let's print the results of A divided by B using our function defined on top. Something like that. And we want to separate each result with a new line. That is about it. Yeah. Copy and paste your class here. And then define your test logic over here. And now let's go ahead and run the build script again. Great. So you can see that we passed with an OK. We've got 5 test cases. We passed 1 and 4 were ignored because we have no input. What does it mean by OK? If you go and take a look at your test suite, easy test cases and result of txt, we generated this result 54519 based on this input. And the result of txt and output of txt, right, they are exactly equivalent. So that's why we say that we passed the test case. Basically what Kevlar 2 does, right, is it does a diff command between these 2 files and it ignores trailing white spaces as well as blank lines. So if results.txt, right, is 45 and then a new line and then 19, right, it will still pass, no problems. So yeah. But of course, we are going to pass every single test cases that we create. So what does it look like if we fail a test case? So let's say for the next one, right, we try and divide 5 by 2. We are expecting 2.5, but we know that the divide function that I implemented performs integer division, so it should give us a test failure. So let's call this floating point. Yeah. So let's say that I only want to try testing 1 test case, 5 divided by 2, and then in output.txt I'm expecting a 2.5. Okay. Yeah, so let's try and build it again. Let me grab a sip of water, I'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, our floating point test cases, we failed, and the reason is wrong output. So let's go ahead and take a look at what happened. Floating point. What were the results that were generated? So you can see it. Our program 5 divided by 2, it gives 2, and that makes sense now because we are performing integer division, but the output is 2.5, so it's different. So that's why this test case failed. Okay, so that's about it for this short tutorial. In later videos, we will be going through things like time limit exceeded, output limit exceeded, as well as how you can use comments inside Kevlar to yeah. So that's it for this video.